The room is heavy with grief, a physical weight that presses against the walls and settles into the carpet. The air is thick, suffocating, filled with the wet, ragged sound of sobbing. You are standing in the center of it, perhaps at a funeral, perhaps in a hospital waiting room, or perhaps in the aftermath of a catastrophic breakup. You look around you. You see faces crumpling into unrecognizable shapes. You see tears streaming down cheeks like rivers breaking a dam. You watch as people collapse into one another, seeking the biological comfort of shared distress. You know, logically, that you should be joining them. You know the script of humanity calls for water, but your eyes are a desert. There is a pressure behind them, yes. A dull, throbbing ache that sits just behind the orbital bone. There is a tightness in the throat, like a fist clenching around your windpipe, prohibiting speech. But the release never comes. The hydraulic system that governs human relief has seized up. You stand there, terrifyingly composed, watching the chaos of emotion unfold around you with the detachment of a camera lens. You start to wonder if you are broken. You wonder if the wiring that makes a human being human was simply left out of your blueprint during assembly. You ask yourself, am I a monster? Am I a robot? Or is there something dead inside me that should be alive? You are not a monster. You are not a robot. And nothing inside you is dead. You are a vessel built for a different kind of storm. Welcome back to Hyde Saves Jekyll, where the shadow finally speaks. Society has a very narrow, very primitive vocabulary for silence. We live in an era that fetishizes vulnerability. The world operates on the assumption that expression equals health. The cultural narrative tells us that if you feel pain, you must leak. If you feel joy, you must vibrate. If you are traumatized, you must weep. And when the world demands tears and you offer only a blank, dry stare, they do not just misunderstand you, they fear you. They diagnose you. They call it emotional unavailability. They call it repression. In extreme cases, they whisper the word sociopath behind your back. This is because humans are pack animals. Crying is a distress signal. It is a biological flare sent up to the tribe saying, "I am hurt, please help me." When you do not send that signal, you trigger a primal, uncanny valley response in others. They look at you and they see a predator. They see someone who does not need the tribe. But this is a civilian understanding of the mind. It assumes that every nervous system is designed for public display. We are going to reframe this right now. The inability to cry is rarely a defect of the tear duct or a failure of the soul. It is a modification of the cognitive architecture. It is not a bug, it is a high-level defense protocol. You are not failing to feel, you are metabolizing reality differently. Let us dissect the anatomy of this silence. We must look at the 5 distinct psychological patterns that create the dry eye. The first pattern is the alexithymic shield. This is a fascinating architectural divergence. In a neurotypical brain, there is a superhighway connecting the limbic system, the primitive center of rage, fear, and grief, and the prefrontal cortex, where we process language and conscious thought. For you, that superhighway is blocked. It is a drawbridge, and the drawbridge is permanently raised. In this state, you absolutely experience the physical sensation of emotion. You feel the crushing weight on your chest. You feel the adrenaline spiking your heart rate. You feel the nausea in your gut. But your brain refuses to label this data as sadness. It remains raw, unlabeled sensory input. You do not cry because your brain has not authorized the file. It's like a computer trying to open a corrupted image. The data is there, but the screen remains black. This is not emptiness, it is a short circuit. The shadow strength here is operational continuity. While others are paralyzed by the narrative of their pain, spinning stories about why they are suffering, you are left only with the physics of it. You can walk through fire because you haven't named the heat. You endure the sensation without the collapse of the story. The trade-off, however, is somatization. The body keeps the score even if the eyes don't. You may not cry, but you will get migraines. You will develop ulcers. You will suffer from sudden, inexplicable exhaustion or autoimmune flare-ups. The water has to go somewhere, and if it cannot leave through the eyes, it will drown the organs. The second pattern is the Sentinel override. This is an evolutionary designation. Think back to the primitive tribe huddled in a cave during a harsh winter or a predator attack. If every single member of the tribe is weeping, wailing, and blinded by tears, the tribe is deaf. The tribe is blind. The tribe is vulnerable to extinction. Nature, in its ruthless intelligence, ensures that in every generation, in every family unit, there is at least one designated watchman. If you cannot cry during a crisis, it is because your biology has identified you as the sentinel. Your system dumps massive amounts of cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream to keep you hyper-alert. This chemical cocktail actively suppresses oxytocin, the bonding hormone that triggers weeping. You are not cold, you are on duty. You are biologically prohibited from collapsing because someone has to watch the perimeter. The shadow strength here is crisis optimization. You are the one who calls the ambulance while the family screams. You are the one who organizes the funeral logistics while the widow collapses. You are the one who lands the plane, but the trade-off is profound isolation. The tribe respects the sentinel, but they do not hug him. They rely on you, but they do not nurture you. You become the designated adult, forever separated from the group by your own competence. The third pattern is the delayed processing unit. Some minds have a massive latency setting engineered into their grief response. You experience a tragedy, a death, a loss, a shock, and you feel absolutely nothing. It is a flat line, a void. You might even find yourself laughing inappropriately or worrying about mundane details like what to eat for dinner. This is the brain's way of compartmentalizing a blast that is too large to process in real time. It is a shock absorber. But the archive is never closed. 6 months later, or maybe 2 years later, you are washing dishes. You drop a spoon. The metal hits the floor with a specific clang. Or you see a specific shade of yellow on a stranger's shirt. And suddenly, you are on the floor, gasping for air, heaving with a grief so violent it feels like you are dying. The archive has opened. The delay has expired. The shadow strength here is immediate endurance. You can survive the initial blast radius of trauma without a scratch, allowing you to function when it matters most. You are time-shifting the pain to a moment when it is safe to collapse. The trade-off is confusion and shame. You grieve out of sync with the world. When you finally break, everyone else has moved on. They look at you with confusion, leaving you to mourn alone in a timeline that no longer exists for anyone but you. The fourth pattern is the hyper-rational fortress. This is most common in high-intelligence, analytical personality types. You have trained your mind to be a scalpel. You analyze your emotions to death before they can manifest physically. The moment a wave of sadness approaches, your internal monologue intercepts it. You start asking questions. Why am I sad? This is illogical. Crying solves nothing. What is the variable causing this? If I cry, I will get a headache and lose productivity. Therefore, I will not. You solve the emotion rather than feeling it. You vivisect the butterfly to see how it flies, killing it in the process. You treat your internal world like a math problem that needs to be balanced. The shadow strength here is perspective. You are rarely swept away by mass hysteria. You maintain a God's eye view of your own suffering, able to extract lessons and strategy from pain instantly. But the trade-off is sterility. A life analyzed is a life controlled, but it is also a life muted. You cannot logic your way into catharsis. You cannot think your way out of a feeling. By refusing to surrender to the wave, you eventually build a dam so high that you lose sight of the water entirely, living in a dry, grey landscape of pure theory. The fifth pattern is the 0-point numbness. This is the most dangerous and the most tragic. This is the result of saturation. If you have lived in a state of high stress, complex trauma, or chronic emotional abuse for decades, your baseline for stimulation moves. We call this allostatic load. Your system has been redlining for so long that the needle has broken off. You don't cry because you are already at maximum capacity. You are not empty, you are full. You are pressurized. Imagine a sponge that is completely soaked. If you pour one more cup of water onto it, the water just slides off the surface. It cannot absorb another drop. That is you. You watch sad movies, you hear tragic news, and it slides off your surface tension. The shadow strength is invulnerability. You have become diamond, hard, unyielding, capable of withstanding pressures that would crush a softer, heavy heart. You can survive environments that destroy normal people. The trade-off is that you lose the signal. Pain is a signal. Joy is a signal. If you numb the crash, you also numb the sunset. You live in the grey static, a ghost in your own machine. I want you to look at these patterns closely. Do not look away. Do you see a broken machine? Or do you see a tank? You have spent years silently berating yourself for your dry eyes. You have forced yourself to watch sad movies, trying to squeeze out a drop of salt water just to prove you are human. You have felt the shame of standing dry-eyed at a graveside. Stop it. Your dry eyes are not a vacancy. They are a vacancy sign for others. They are the space where others can fall apart because they know you will not. You are the keel of the ship. The keel is the heavy, unseen beam at the bottom of the boat that keeps it from flipping over in the storm. It is underwater. It is dark. It is silent. But without it, the ship is lost. Now let us drop the clinical niceties. Let us speak to the thing inside you that keeps the gates shut. Let us speak to Hyde. You think your inability to cry is a weakness. You think it makes you less than. That is the Jekyll in you talking. That is the part of you that wants to be a good, normal, socially acceptable citizen who weeps on cue and validates the group's feelings. That is the part of you that wants to be liked. But your shadow knows better. Your shadow dried your eyes for a reason. It built a fortress around your heart not to imprison you, but to weaponize you. In a world of fragile people, the one who does not break is the one who leads. In a world of people who are drowning in their own subjectivity, the one who can remain objective is the one who survives. Your shadow looked at the chaos of your life, at the trauma you have endured, at the responsibilities you carry, and it made a command decision. It decided that you do not have the luxury of collapse. It decided that tears are expensive and you cannot afford the price. This is not a defect. This is a source of power. But power must be integrated, or it becomes destructive. Integration is not about forcing the tears to flow. It is not about breaking yourself open with a hammer just to see if you bleed. It is about respecting the drought. It is about looking at that cold, rational, detached part of your soul, that beast that sits in the dark and refuses to weep, and saying, "Thank you. Thank you for keeping watch. Thank you for holding the line when I was too weak to hold it myself. Thank you for absorbing the shock so I could keep walking. You must stop fighting your own nature. If you are the stone, be the stone. Do not try to be the water. If you are the ice, be the ice. Do not try to be the fire. The world has enough water. The world is drowning in water. It needs more bedrock. It needs more things that are solid, unshakable, and dry. There is a terrifying freedom in accepting that you are the dangerous one, the one who can watch the surgery without flinching, the one who can stare into the abyss and not blink. Do not let society shame you into softness. Do not let them medicate your stoicism away. You are the sentinel. You are the archive. You are the fortress. Embrace the silence of your eyes. It is the sound of your strength. Stop apologizing for the armor that saved your life. Don't kill the beast. Ride it. Subscribe if you are ready to meet the rest of yourself.